Are the cultures you're exposed to in your life good for you? Here's how to find out. In one short hour, you'll discover how to evaluate any culture and how healthy it is. You hear the word culture so much, but what does it really mean? What is culture anyway? There are two very important features about culture you need to know. The first is that any culture is made up of integrated patterns of human knowledge, belief, and behavior. In other words, cultures are made up of knowledge from many people over time about how to think, believe, and behave. Second, the transmission of culture depends on our capacities for learning and then passing that knowledge on to generations that are yet to come. In other words, all the knowledge, beliefs, and behavior of any culture are downloaded into us as children when we're growing, and that is how culture is passed from one person or group of people to another. Well, you might think, I'll just go my own way anyway, make my own choices. I don't need culture. But not so fast. Why do you need culture anyway? And can we escape culture? These questions can be answered very simply. What culture does is to give us an all-encompassing pattern for living. In other words, it provides us with the guidelines and rules for our membership in humankind. Can you imagine trying to get through life without that? It would be like suddenly being transported to another planet, dropped into some strange group of beings and being expected to make a go of our lives. Very difficult, I'm sure you'll agree. Even if you did escape to another planet inhabited by other beings, you'd still be impacted by culture. It would just be their culture, not one that you're familiar with. It's a basic fact that no matter where you live, you're impacted by culture. Your families have a family culture. Any group you belong to has a group culture. Each organization has one too. There's a unique culture in every work environment. All religious institutions have their culture. Even educational establishments have one. In short, all these cultures bring their influences to bear on your life. So what are these influences? And are they good for you or not? Using the information presented in this DVD, you can easily learn how to assess any and all of these cultures. By the end of this 1 hour, you will know how to discover the relative health or dysfunction of any culture. And once you do, you're in a better position to decide how to deal with their influences. You become able to make informed choices that impact your life in very real ways. Cultures that are healthy for you are ones that support and sustain your basic humanity and that of others. In fact, a culture is healthy to the extent that it cradles us, cultivates our humanity, fosters our talents, nourishes our needs and abilities, encourages our successes, and nurtures our development. In summary, cultures are healthy for us if they help us grow and develop in healthy. On the other hand, a culture is unhealthy for you and therefore dysfunctional to the degree that it works against your growing and developing in healthy ways. In these cultures, you were torn down, degraded, discouraged, criticized, controlled, or abused. And these processes can take place quite subtly, quite out of your awareness, working against you without your being conscious of it. In short, these cultural influences work against your basic humanity. This DVD will present you with an easy tool you can use to apply to any culture you're involved in or that impacts your life. It will provide you with the means you can use yourself to step back and take a clear look at just how culture is influencing you. How is this possible? Let's take a moment to. There is a fundamental inborn process of growth and development that underlies the unfolding of every life. It's a gift of nature, and it's common to everyone. This unfolding process carries us from the cradle through every aspect of our childhood and adulthood and old age. It's a progression called the cycle of life. It is this innate pattern that gives us what we need to find out how healthy any culture is for us. In other words, we need only ask, how well does this culture support each aspect of our continuing inborn growth process? This is an especially important question to ask because as we grow through the initial stages of our life, we take in the cultural influences that we encountered outside ourselves. In other words, they become encoded in the deep layers of our brains and bodies. Originally, as infants and children, we encountered them as we saw them and heard them and felt them. They were sensory experiences, but they got turned into codes, much like music is written in code. Once they get written, they function in our grown-up lives quite out of our awareness, in the same way that we're not aware of what our DNA is doing while we're going about living our lives. This fascinating DVD will take you through that process, step by step and stage by stage, and show you how to find out what those influences were and also what they are now. You will learn how culture impacts the very ground of your existence. After all, culture influenced your process of birth, and then how close you were able to be to your mother, the source of your life, when contact with her meant life itself. You'll find out how culture affects your world of senses and action, and culture influenced your growing ability to move out into the world, to explore it and find out where you were and what your body could do. You'll realize how culture influences how you think, what you think, and even when you think. You'll recognize how culture influenced how and even whether you could play, how you were taught you could relate to other children, and how to form your identity. You'll find out how culture influenced your sense of what it's like to be in your body, and how you may or may not show yourself, express yourself, and where and how you can move in the world. You'll even become aware of how culture affected the skills you developed, influenced your life as a sexually mature person, and even your having children. You'll also find out how the cultures you're in contact with are influencing you in your adult life now as well. You'll come out of this hour being both enlightened and empowered. You'll also be eager to share this potent information with others. You'll be able to use it, for example, in your own individual life, or share it with study groups, or open up a discussion, whether it's in the bedroom or the boardroom. You'll find out how the cultures in your life either do or do not serve your own basic humanity and that of everyone else. Also, you'll satisfy your curiosity about how you were encoded by the cultural influences in your childhood. Once you have this information, you'll be able to use the questionnaire that's included to see how to apply it to yourself, your family, your groups, and organizations. In short, anywhere you're impacted by culture. Imagine what it will be like when you're able to know and participate in adjusting aspects of any culture you're involved with so that it can become ever more healthy and functional both for you and for everyone else. To get your copy right away, go to http://yourcycleoflife.com/culture.htm. That's http:// yourcycleoflife.com/culture.htm. You'll be glad you did.